Chapter 4 King Dagda's House Before Dawn. King Dagda called an emergency meeting at 1 hour to sunrise, just before the fairies went to bed. Zarara counted 5 fairies sitting around the long kitchen table. Queen Maeve was sweeping tools and bits of timber into a basket. "You might have cleared the table. How are we meant to have an important meeting amongst all this clutter?"
"It's not clutter," grumbled King Dagda. "I am in the middle of these projects and you are mixing them up."
Zarara knew King Dagda was cross because a little dark grey cloud started hovering above his head.
"Well, this breakfast project seems to be finished,"
Queen Maeve said, carrying a pile of plates and mugs over to the sink, little flames flicking out of her nose. She tutted as she stepped over Arthur, the fitness fairy, who was doing a set of press-ups on the floor. She swept a pile of timber shavings into the fire and set them alight with a big puff of flames from her mouth. "They say she's related to an actual dragon," whispered Jenny, the fairy secretary, to Laura, the wishing well fairy. Laura yawned. King Dagda picked up a hammer from the basket and banged it 3 times on the table to silence the chattering.
"This is an emergency, fairies. I need everyone to focus now."
The noise around the table died down. Gracious, the rainbow fairy, stopped testing out colours on the walls and sat to attention in her chair. "Whee!" Zarara swung the length of the table. "Zarara, get down off the chandelier. You can't practice your acrobatics now. We are trying to have a meeting," said Queen Maeve. Zarara swung one last time across the table, hanging by her knees on the twisted wood, and did a double somersault to land expertly in her seat. Arthur did a few more stretches and sat down. King Dagda cleared his throat and began slowly.
"Ever since Princess Moppet dropped her ice cream on the nature walk when she was a toddler and had that enormous tantrum, we have had a large supply of Princess's tears, the magic ingredient in dust."
Jenny stopped writing her dinner party shopping list and started to concentrate on what King Dagda was saying.
"The fact is, we have run out of tears."
Laura, who was falling asleep on her arms after a long night of well diving, sat up straight. Everyone was concentrating now.
"And," he paused dramatically, "we are out of dust."
There was total silence. You could hear a leaf drop. The fairies looked shocked.
"Now, Princess Moppet," he continued in a businesslike fashion, trying to keep the group calm, "is our nearest princess. She is about 8 years old now. Hopefully it will still be easy to make her cry. I know it sounds a bit mean, but she is quite a spoilt little girl, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And to cheer her up, Gracious can decorate her room with a nice, colourful painting. This is my plan," he announced, picking up his clipboard. All the fairies leant forward on their elbows eagerly. 1. I will make a submarine boat out of this abandoned plastic water bottle.
Zarara could hear the excitement mounting in his voice. He is brilliant at upcycling, she thought.
2. We will launch the boat down the sinkhole in the disappearing lake and float down the underground river to Dungura Castle. 3. Zarara will climb up the ivy into Princess Moppet's window and attach a rope ladder to the window latch. We will all follow her up. 4. We will make Princess Moppet cry and collect the princess's tears. 5. We will catch the incoming tide and float home. Arthur, I want you to mind the village while we are gone. We don't want a crowd of gnomes moving in or evil elves stealing our stuff, okay?
Your kingdom is safe in my hands, said Arthur. King Dagda looked around the table confidently.
Simple. Job done. Any questions?
He rolled out the large, well-worn map with a flourish, showing the route. What about the wicked, lazy elves from the Black Mountains? They sometimes travel on that river, said Jenny. They are always stealing food and clothes. They can't be bothered to do any work themselves. Going around in their birthday suits half the time. They really are frightful. And what about the seals by the castle? They might mistake us for a fish and eat us, said Laura.
And what about those otters that live on the rocks that captured a fairy and kept her in their smelly, fishy den for a week? Said Queen Maeve.
And what if we can't make Princess Moppet cry? Added Gracious.
Well, that is the least of our problems, said King Dagda. Maybe we should bring an onion just in case, suggested Queen Maeve.
The king rolled his eyes. Could you fit me in for a colour and cut before we leave? Whispered Jenny to Arthur, the fitness and part-time hairdresser fairy. Zarara bounced up and down with her hand up. When can we go? When can we go?